Hello, thank you for joining me and on this information session on meaningful collaboration. My team and I would like to share this information with you so you can understand and know the impacts that meaningful collaboration has on the healthcare industry. Contained within this presentation, we will be providing you with definitions of meaningful collaboration and also with definitions of failing forward. By the end of this presentation, we hope that you find this information useful and that you can apply it to your everyday life as a leader. First up, we have Meredith, who will be presenting the definition of meaningful collaboration.
Defining meaningful collaboration. Meaningful collaboration requires a set of ground rules. That is, the design of how a group of diverse individuals will merge their backgrounds, experiences, and interests to achieve a common goal. There must be an appreciation for individual motivations, i.e., those things that bring them to the table, and how those unique roles and experiences will contribute to and factor into the project's outcome. We must be mindful to be active listeners, hearers, and learners in order for the group to be successful. In the group's best interest, try to eliminate hierarchies. Try to develop ways for the group to disseminate information and meet deliverables. Develop ways to take significant entrenched issues that take on a fair degree of risk by developing an escalation process. Moreover, understand how the group will work in concert to diagnose barriers to information and enhance communications. These are just some of the makings to a successful and meaningful collaboration.
Thanks, Meredith. That was great information on meaningful collaboration. Next up, we have Marie, who's going to be presenting the impact of meaningful collaboration in healthcare organizations.
The impact of meaningful collaboration on healthcare organizations. Through collaboration, which means a work culture which joint communication and decision making among all members of the healthcare team becomes the norm, is not an event. It's an ongoing process that grows over time. I believe that meaningful collaboration is the key to the future of improvement. Collaborating, learning, and working together become all the important in a complex healthcare environment. Collaboration is important for patients. If we talk to patients, for example, they will often tell you they receive poor care or their needs aren't met when they fall between different providers. Support for patients often isn't joined up, so it's crucial that we collaborate much more thoughtfully. More widely than that, how do we collaborate with our communities and the people at the heart of them as we start to move away from model of fixing illness toward one focus on health and well-being? Our old marriages don't stack up. We need to learn from the people and parts of society that have been doing more of this than healthcare. We still need hospitals to be brilliant at looking after people safely when they have sepsis, major trauma, or a host of other things. But we've got to be honest with ourselves and admit that much of current hospital care doesn't deliver outcomes that a modern, forward looking society needs us to deliver. We have to connect and collaborate much more, and the traditional professional tribes that exist are unhelpful. In order to promote meaningful collaboration and teaming in this scenario, leadership is vital. There are three things leaders can do to implement teaming in this scenario and others alike, which include framing the work for others, making it a safe environment, and creating structures to make teaming easier. Framing shows how individuals view a specific situation. In healthcare, for example, a common frame is that individual expertise provided by separate experts is key to solving patient problems and adds up to optimal care. Our frames are shaped by our past experiences and cultural beliefs. Framing is not bad or good, it's simply inevitable, and leaders can often must override the spontaneous frames we bring to the workplace. The second leadership task is to recognize and combat the subtle ways in which a lack of psychological safety can inhibit teaming when caregivers are reluctant to ask questions or challenge others, particularly those of higher status, for instance, by questioning a medication order. Interpersonal hurdles are obvious. Only in environments that are psychologically safe can, can people team self consciously and without self censorship, according to Edmondson in 2015. Finally, creating structures to make teaming easier allows for improved hands off in clinical interactions and forces cross disciplinary coordination to improve processes and patient outcomes. The biggest takeaways the respect for each other roles and responsibilities and how we communicated with each other. Thank you.
Thanks, Marie, for such wonderful information on the impact of meaningful collaboration in healthcare organizations. Next up, we have Meredith Puckett, who's going to be giving us some examples of meaningful collaboration within healthcare organizations.
One example that I'll share where meaningful collaboration needs to occur is a busy emergency room at a major hospital. We all know it's easy for misunderstandings to occur, hesitation to speak up due to provider status differences, and because of this, errors and long throughput times for patients can often occur. In order to promote meaningful collaboration, leadership is vital. The three things leaders can do to implement teaming include framing the work for others, making it a safe environment, and creating structures to make teaming easier. Framing shows how individuals view a specific situation. So in healthcare, for example, a common frame is that individual expertise provided by separate experts is key to solving patient problems and adds up to optimal care. Our frames are shaped by our past experiences and cultural beliefs. Framing is not bad or good, it's simply inevitable, and leaders can often override the spontaneous frames that we bring to the workplace. The second leadership task is to recognize and combat the ways in which a lack of psychological safety can inhibit teaming when caregivers are reluctant to ask questions or challenge others. For instance, by questioning a medication order. Only in environments that are psychologically safe can people team unself-consciously and without self-censorship. Finally, creating structures to make teaming easier allows for improved handoffs in clinical interactions and forces cross-disciplinary coordination to improve processes and patient outcomes. Healthy teaming environments in which managers empower rather than control, ask the right questions rather than provide the right answers, and focus on flexibility rather than insist on adherence allows organizations to move to a higher form of execution.
Wow, thank you, Meredith, for such wonderful examples of meaningful collaboration in healthcare. Next up, we have Sheena with the definition of failing forward.
Failing forward. What does it mean to fail forward? Failing forward may sound like an oxymoron, but is a simple and accurate description of how success is achieved. According to Maddock, failure isn't fatal. In fact, it is actually required for innovation success, as long as you don't freak out, make catastrophic mistakes, or ironically fail to learn from it. This concept is necessary to adopt among healthcare leaders to be in alignment with reaching goals and to ultimately fulfill the purpose of an organization's existence. Within the healthcare system, failing forward will always be perceived as a challenge because of the services being provided. There is no time or resources to fail. People's lives are literally at stake based on the ideas or models being tested for these changes for improvement. However, the challenge provides a perfect platform to properly implement this idea in order to achieve better outcomes and overall success. If a healthcare organization is to adopt a failing forward culture, then healthcare leaders need to acquire this mindset and ensure their team members are on the same page. It will be the leaders to set the tone of fearlessness when entering uncharted territory with the vision of creating something better for everyone to utilize. Embracing failure is essential to leadership development, growth, and success. More importantly, the concept can and will influence those around you. Leading in the right direction with the proper perception of failure will dictate the conversation of true change or reformation occurring from within an organization. Now more than ever, the healthcare industry needs fearless leaders to take the first step forward towards success.
Now that we know the definition of failing forward, let's discuss some of the examples of what failing forward looks like in the healthcare industry. During the COVID-19 pandemic, there were constant changes to the processes and procedures that were adjusted to protect the well being of the patients, staff, and visitors. Over the course of 2 months, these processes changed daily until one process produced successful results. For an example, at first, a small tent was stationed in the parking lot used as a clean space for staff to sit while triaging patients from their car. Well, staff complained, and there were a ton of confusion and insubordinate staff who did not follow the process as planned. Soon, this failed process was changed. Next, management decided that front facing staff and the triage team should sit outside of the emergency department entrance, triaging and collecting patient information outside. However, inclement weather failed this idea. Then there was the idea of a larger drive through tent where the registration staff and triage team followed the same protocols and procedures as if they were stationed in the building. This idea accommodated for all weather conditions. The tent was wired for electricity to include fans during the warm weather and heat during cooler days. This process produced successful results that would not have been introduced if the other processes did not fail. Now, just imagine if the first attempt to adjust to the COVID-19 precautions stopped there. There would be an increase of chaos, unhappy staff, which leads to high numbers of staff turnover, and a ton of confusion. Meaningful collaboration starts with a great team, led by a great leader, who is compassionate about successful outcomes for the greater cause, such as collaborative teamwork.
What is the importance of teamwork and leadership? Every organization would usually be established for some purpose that can be accomplished with the necessary human and capital resources. The human resources will normally be composed of the individuals with different skill levels and qualifications that are relevant for achieving the organization's goal and objectives. The team is a group of staff members that have the various relevant skills and knowledge levels to achieve those goals. The leader has a primary responsibility to influence the followers or team members and guide them towards achieving the collective vision and purpose of an organization. Leadership and teamwork together are especially important because they provide the framework for clarifying and directing the vision of the organization. Working together as a team with good leadership helps individual team members grow and to accomplish more than everyone can on their own. Teamwork and leadership create effective communication and collaboration while allowing members to solve problems together for the benefit of the organization. With good leadership and teamwork, the necessary resources and training are made available for the team members to help their individual and organization success. Good leadership and teamwork also foster accountability among team members, help the building of healthy team relationships, and help in building respect for each other.
Wow, thanks, Caroline, for such great points on the importance of teamwork and leadership within the healthcare organizations. Well, we've come to the end of our video. By now, you should know the importance of meaningful collaboration within the healthcare industry. We may fail, but failure is not the end. With that said, use this information, think about it, and apply it to your work life. I hope you enjoy.